Mellow bass screaming, rubber burns on black. Engines roaring thunder, ain't no turning back. Beast make a friction, sparks light the night. Track of war sounds, adrenaline takes flight. Metalheads moving, the trucks take the lead. Chasing that cloud through the chaos insane. Diesel hearts pumping, it's a high-speed game. Victory lap, gonna carve out the name. Rebels on my six, but my grip don't waver. Drafting with sharp, every move's got flavor. Brakes don't squeal, they scream in heat. On the asphalt battlefield, where the fears come pains. Rebels on my six, but my grip don't waver. Drafting with sharp, every move's got flavor. Brakes don't squeal, they scream in heat. On the asphalt battlefield, where the fears come pains. Tires grip tight, flames dance on steel. Spins and skids twist, every moment surreal. Checker flag whispers, a siren's call. Only one metalhead lies above it all. Turbocharged fury on straight we fly. Nitrous things pumping, we touch the sky. Back grandstands buzz, saying our name. Each lap we caught ignites the game's flame. Metalheads moving, the trucks take the lead. Chasing that cloud through the chaos insane. Diesel hearts pumping, it's a high-speed game. Victory lap, gonna carve out the name. Wah! Mellow bass screaming, rubber burns on black. Engines roaring thunder, ain't no turning back. Beast make a friction, sparks light the night. Track of war sounds, adrenaline takes flight. Metalheads moving, the trucks take the lead. Chasing that cloud through the chaos insane. Diesel hearts pumping, it's a high-speed game. Victory lap, gonna carve out the name. Rebels on my six, but my grip don't waver. Drafting with sharp, every move's got flavor. Brakes don't squeal, they scream in heat. On the
Oh, baby, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome in as the Metalheads Truck Series gets ready to rumble here from New Hampshire Motor Speedway. It is the Big Red Custom Diecast 175 here from New Hampshire. 175 laps of racing action here this evening for these drivers to try to lay down some great laps and try to put themselves up and into the winning position here this evening. And starting on the pole in the 318 machine is the Majula Safe Speed Shop ride. It is Matthew Catania. Catania will start in the top spot. To his outside in the Red Bull number 5 ride is Matt Hayden. Starting in position number 3 in the Goldberg 92, that is Clinton Woodby. Starting in position number 4 in the Sparkle and Shine Anything East C number 15, it's Michael Madden. Starting in position number 5 in the Nothing Fancy number 13 ride, it's Mark Beverly. To his outside in that QH Designs, the winning bid NASCAR Diecast Sales number 97 ride, it is Colton Hardy who will start in the 6th position. Starting in position number 7, it is the Sonic Graphic Designs, that beautiful Revco Electric Big Red Custom Diecast Sunny Donuts number 00. It's the Paper Cuts ride. That is Nate Cogdell, who will start there in the 8th position. To his outside, the Napa Auto Parts ride, it is Nick Gardner. Starting back in the inside of row number 5, it is that SR, the Stadium Rant number 46 of Skylar Berry. To his outside in the 196, that is Caleb Kleiner. Then we see Brett Evans, Brett Summers back there in position number 11 and 12. Keith Prince, Joe Bennett, John Herbert, Bruce Bernard, Jesse Calloway, Rusty Modesty bringing up the rear of the field as 18 drivers get ready to see that green flag fly here at the beautiful New Hampshire Motor Speedway, as we will end all the anticipation with our feature presentation. We are quickly green flag racing here from New Hampshire. Quickly, we see that 3:18 machine of Matthew Catania, quickest in qualifying and looking to be dead quick here on lap number 1, hoping to try to put himself out in front where he can potentially try to run away with this race, as each and every one of these drivers is going to be trying to hunt him down. They're going to be looking to try to get around Matthew and see if they can slide him deeper in the field, as we do see everyone inside our top 4 get single file right there. Colton Hardy does jump up into 5th here as Mark Beverly slides back to 6. Condell there in 7th is Skylar Berry, Caleb Kleinert, and Brett Evans all moving a little forward here as early on we see Nick Gardner sliding back here a little bit. Hey, it's Kev. What's good, Mr. Holler? Says, sup, man? Have a good stream. I'll be racing tonight. Let's go, baby. That's what it's all about, my boy. That's what it's all about. Good, hard racing. Having some fun out there on the simulator, man. Some good runs for you yesterday and Saturday, man. Hopefully, one of these nights we'll get you up into the broadcast booth again, as we do see Brett Evans just right there. That Flamin' Hot Cheetos number 1 machine just outside the top 10 is Keith Prince and John Herbert now round out our top 13 on the racetrack. Brett Summer sliding backwards here early on. The Boston Web Marketing ride, the Dialed In Racing number 7 machine back into the 15th position now as the Body Armor 05 of Joe Bennett moves around him and jumps in to position number 14. As Matt Hayden, Michael Madden both still trying to hunt down this 318 machine of Matthew Catania, as unfortunately for the 92 ride here, Clinton Woodby slides back a couple spots now into the 5th position on the racetrack. So he'll look to try to keep on grinding here and hoping to keep this top 5 rolling here this evening. It's Kev says, maybe if I learn to shift on restarts, laugh aloud. Listen, brother, it happens. I've seen it on the biggest stage in the biggest moments for the biggest money, and drivers have those issues. So don't let the other guys, make you feel bad or anything else, man. It's something that happens. We see it in real life NASCAR. We've seen it out of some of the bigger names in other series. And as I said, man, I've been a part of a lot of different big money shows, and I've seen drivers miss shifts and have those issues on restarts, and it happens to the best of them, brother. Is Catania out in front? He's looking very good as that Majula Say Speed Shop. ShopFergie22.com number 318 machine still out in front. About 0.2 of a second between himself and Michael Madden. Colton Hardy now up 3 positions as he's got that QH Designs 97 ride up and into position number 3, and he is looking to keep on moving forward here as that Track Racer ride jumps into that 3rd position. Would be going to go with him here is unfortunately Matt Hayden in that number 5 ride. Hayden here in the Red Bull Racing machine now back into about the 8th position. He's fallen back 6 spots here just over the last couple laps, and definitely not where you want to be. Definitely not how far back you want to be sliding here early on in this race. As 6 laps completed, still 69 laps left to go here. Still a very, very long race, so if you run into problems, if you have issues, luckily enough, you got lots of time to try to keep yourself rolling, keep yourself driving towards the front, and try to rebound from early mistakes. As Holler says, appreciate that, man. Felt crappy all day. Love watching these trucks. Clean racing so far. Yeah, nothing but good, hard, clean racing up there. These guys do a fantastic job. Whether it's our Monday night series here with the Metalheads Truck Series here. These guys tend to keep on battling hard, keep battling good here, or the HCK Beagles over on our Tuesday nights, man. They always seem to run very, very good, very, very clean. We see a lot of, just good, hard green flag laps, and that's what we really like to see. Obviously, there's a few cautions here or there, and that's why they call them racing accidents. Accidents do happen. We do have the odd caution flag here or there, and that's just part of racing, and, as long as it's not hitting that double digits or anything else, then we're always A-okay with a little bit of rubbing and scrubbing and maybe a couple caution flags out there on the racetrack. As right now, it is still that number 318 of Matthew Catania. He's looking to be that reflection of perfection here this evening. Catania out in front has that 318 machine pointed the right direction and leading the first 9 laps here this evening. He's hoping to lead the last 9 as well, as he's going to be looking to try to put himself up and into victory lane. But this is kind of one of the short tracks. It's kind of got that short track feel, but I don't know if I'd really call it a short track, man. There's not a whole lot of side by side on a consistent basis to call this a short short track. It's not Bristol. It's not Martinsville. It's not, one of those tracks. Those are real short tracks. When you go to Phoenix, it's not a short track. When you come here, it's not a short track. I don't care what NASCAR says, man. Some of those tracks are definitely not short tracks. Even Dover. Dover's kind of pushing it nowadays, man. Dover's a lot of single file, a lot of follow the leader there. It doesn't really have that short track feel, as it's still like a mile long, and that's just down on the inside lane, and then it's a mile. You start rolling up towards the outside fence, it becomes, a mile and a quarter or a mile and a half, and it doesn't seem like a real true short track. I want those 3/8 miles, maybe the 5/8 miles, racetracks. That's what we love to see. Those are the short tracks that everyone gets excited for. Everyone gets up on their feet and sees those drivers battle out there. But nonetheless, these races, they still put on a good show. They still put on some great racing, especially later on in the evening, or when we start to roll into some of these green flag pit stops and everything else. As Haller says, it's considered short because it's usually a wreck fest on iRacing. Laugh out loud. Yeah, I suppose, yeah. It's one of those tracks that you can definitely have a bunch of different driving styles. We see this on dirt a lot here, that the different entry points, the different exit points for drivers. Unfortunately, when you get a bunch of them that aren't used to running with each other, what tends to happen is one driver tries to back a corner up looking for more exit speed than entry speed, where the other driver back behind them tends to try to run for a different kind of style out there on the racetrack. They want to drive it in deep, obviously get in there fast, get a lot of time quickly as they enter the corner quick, but they leave with a little less speed as they gotta get harder onto the brakes to try to get their car checked up and then roll back down to the throttle through corner exit. Now, you tend to have those two different driving styles, and as those two different driving styles happen, that's normally when we see mistakes happen. That's usually when we see drivers get ran over, they get bumped, they get turned around down here through corner entries, and that's most of the time where we see these issues out there at New Hampshire Motor Speedway and a lot of these other short tracks as well. Is usually just those different entry points, and for a driver that's setting in there deep, maybe just a lack of seeing where that guy is in front of them, not being able to get onto the binders quick enough and making that contact. And we may see that even a few times here this evening as Catania continues to lead the way. Catania out in front, Colton Hardy back there in second, Clinton Woodby in third. Michael Madden in fourth here still, as Skylar Berry now finds himself up inside the top 5 as that Stadium Rant, beautiful Mission 22 number 46 ride up inside the top 5. Mark Beverly there in 6th, Nate Congdale back in 7th. Matt Hayden, who started on the outside of the front row, has now fallen back into the 8th position with Caleb Kleinert and John Herbert right behind him right now. Herbert is our hard charger, up 5 positions. Started in 15th, now up inside the top 10 here as he's found his way around Nick Gardner, Brett Evans, Keith Prince, and a few of these other drivers. We see Rusty Modesty, Joe Bennett, Brett Summers, who's fallen back here 4 spots. They're in 16th, Jesse Calloway and Bruce Bernard rounding out our top 18 out there on the racetrack. Absolutely great green flag racing here early on this evening, as already 16 laps into the history book here today as the Big Red Customs die-cast in number 175 here this evening. The Big Red Customs 175 here in the Metalheads Truck Series. We actually got to get that changed up here. It's not Racing League, it's the Metalheads Truck Series. Let me see if I can get that fixed up here. Metalheads Truck Series. There we go. That should be better. That should be better. We should get that fixed up there. So let's prop her up there on the top of the channel as these drivers continue to keep on battling, keep on racing hard out there. Everyone trying to inch their way a little closer to the back bumper of our race leader, Matthew Catania, as Colton Hardy up into position number 4. Or not, position number 2. He's up 4 spots here and looking to continue his drive to the front of the field here as he's got that Chevy Silverado, the QH design, the winning bid machine, up and into position number 2, and he is looking to get to work here, looking to see if he can go to work on the back bumper here of that Majula State Speed Shop. 3:18 of Matthew Catania, as Catania just trying to run away with this one, trying to manage that gap and keep all the drivers back there at bay. Is down through 3 and out of corner number 4. He will click off another lap, and now 19 laps into the history books here today. So 19 laps already completed here in this one, man. That's quickly moving through things, man. These drivers are really laying down the laps in a quick hurry here. As take a look here. I do believe we have stage breaks. Yes, we do have stage breaks. Where are we at here? New Hampshire, right there. So it looks like stage break will be lap number 35. So lap 35, at the completion of lap 35, we will see that caution flag fly here this evening. So the drivers know that they have that caution flag. They have that competition caution at the stage break here in not too long from now. A few laps from a little bit here in this one, as these drivers definitely trying to navigate, trying to battle, trying to race their way back up to the front of the field here and trying to make some moves. Now, tire wear could become an issue. Fuel mileage could also be a problem throughout this race, especially if we continue to see green flag racing like we are right now. We will have that stage break. I'm sure we'll see everybody down pit side getting fuel, getting tires, getting everything that they desire down on pit road, including some changes to their truck that may help them drive a little bit better out there on the racetrack. But for right now, everyone's just kind of minding their P's and Q's, just trying to keep this clean and green, trying to get to that stage break where they can either go to work on their cars, trying to get them fixed up, or potentially then try to use that to their strategy here. Obviously, tires are going to be a major factor out there on the racetrack, as right now, drivers have already had tire fall off, getting closer and closer to about a second of tire fall off here for a lot of these competitors. So that's a lot of tire fall. That is a ton of time that you're losing out there on the racetrack, and we're only 22 laps into this race. Think about it, after we come back from that stage break, if we get another big long run like this, let's say we go 30, 40, maybe 50 laps on a green flag run, where these drivers are starting to run out of that fuel, these tires are really going to be starting to stress, they're really going to be falling off, and they're going to be running into major issues out there on the racetrack, where that tire fall off is going to become a major aspect of this race, where drivers can try to short pit, trying to come down pit road a little bit earlier, try to use those tires to their advantage, try to gain a ton of positions out there on the racetrack with the fresher tires, you know, a few laps earlier than our race leaders or anybody else in front of them. But at the same point in time, you have the opposite end of that spectrum. You stay out a little bit longer, you use a little bit more of that tire up, and you struggle for a few more laps, but then when you come back out onto the racetrack, you could have the best tires on the speedway, and that could help you still hunt down to close that gap that you gave up to the fresh tires and make the moves back around those drivers and race your way a little farther forward in the field. So there's going to be a couple different strategies for a lot of these drivers to be playing out here this evening, and what is going to help them potentially find victory lane here today. As Matthew Catania continues to lead the way, nice and easy, down and out of corner number 4, back down across the line, he will click off lap number 25. So 25 laps complete here this evening. Still 150 laps left to go. Still a lot of laps, a lot of time to try to work yourself up and into victory lane here today. And now these drivers, they know that they only got 10 laps left here in our first stage, and that could be our only caution flag of the day when we complete stage number 1 here this evening. So we'll have to keep an eye on it, as we did see Colton Hardy slowly but surely track down that 318 ride. Got to a couple car lengths, but now we see Matthew starting to once again open up that lead, start to pull away once again here, and he may even have some lap traffic coming up in front of him here. As Bruce Bernard not too far away here. Bruce just headed down out of corner number 4. Our race leaders, they're headed down the back straightaway, so virtually about half a track still. So Bruce, if you can hang on to it and not slide any further back, or at least give up too much time here over the closing, you know, about 9 laps, 8 laps left here in this stage, then he could potentially stay on the lead lap. But if he continues to struggle, continues to run into problems, then our race leaders are going to be right there in a quick hurry. Now for Matthew Catania and Colton Hardy, they have themselves a absolutely major advantage here between themselves and Clinton Woodby. Woodby, who's up and into 3rd here, he now finds himself back about 5 seconds behind our race leader. So about 5 seconds back here this evening. It's what's good, Michael. Michael says, hey, Peacemaker, what's up, Michael? How are ya? Michael coming in, showing the love. My boy Caleb Ramsey also coming in, says, what's up, brother? What's up, brother? What's good, Caleb? How are you, mister? Coming in with the exclamation mark followage as well, with the 1,260 days of being a follower here on Peacemaker Gaming. That's absolutely insane, brother. That is absolutely crazy, my boy. That is a long time. 1,260 days. That's absolutely insane. Is what's good, Eric Hardy? Eric coming in as well. Eric showing the love here with that heart reaction. How are you, Eric? Eric coming showing the love here this evening. Says hashtag number 97 shirt on that 97 ride here this evening. And right now, the 97 ride's running pretty solid up in second, but still about 9/10 of a second back behind Matthew Catania. And Catania trying to open up that race lead a little bit more as we're going to start to see pit stops here in just a little bit. Stage break number 1 just around the corner here in just a few more laps as this time down through 4 and back down the front straightaway. It will be 5 laps left to go here in stage number 1. Stage number 1 potentially going to come to a close here in a quick hurry. Michael, how are you? Hopefully you're having yourself a wonderful day here this evening as the Monday blues kind of get faded away here with the always amazing Metalheads Truck Series. And here with the big red custom die-cast number 175 here this evening. Definitely always feeling good. As Logan Perriman, what's good, Perriman? Says, Peacemaker, my brother from another mother. What is good, brother? How are you, mister? How you doing this evening? Hopefully you're having yourself a wonderful Monday as we see Catania continue to click these laps off. He has been that reflection of perfection all evening long. Started in that pole position, so far has led all 31 laps here this evening, has just over a second between himself and Colton Hardy. Over 6.5 seconds back, we do see Clinton Woodby there in position number 3. He's trying to hold on to that third spot. Here in this one is Skylar Berry and Michael Madden right there behind him. Here comes Matt Hayden trying to race his way back up towards the front of the field. All these drivers looking for some solid stage points here at the end of stage number 1. Beverly there in 7th, Nate Cogdell back in 8th, and then we see Brett Evans trying to hold off that beautiful 196 of Caleb Kleinert. Is Kleinert right there in the Maxis number 196, rounding out our top 10. Rusty Modesty, John Herbert just on the outside of the top 10 looking in, but it's all Matthew Catania here in this one. As Michael says, he's my Pookie. Oh, brother, I'll be your Pookie, okay? I'll take that bullet. I'll be your Pookie. It's okay. It's okay. You can call me Pookie anytime you want, brother. As here we go. Quickly seeing this first stage come to a close. What do we have in store here for the rest of this race, though? There's only one stage break. So for these drivers, that is going to really kind of mix things up here. Not only strategy-wise, but also for, trying to figure out how to keep yourself out of trouble, how to keep yourself rolling, and maybe try to gain those positions. So far, we haven't seen a whole bunch of passing. We've seen a few drivers navigate their way towards the front here, but a lot of drivers did fall back as well. Whether that was tire strategy, fuel strategy, or what that may have been, but we do see Clinton Woodby. Woodby comes down pit road here before the caution flag here before the stage ends, and for oh no, I think Clint Woodby is able to keep on growing. Okay, that's what it is. It is the racetrack. If you get too far down on the apron here, especially on corner exit, it will tell me that you head down pit road. So luckily enough for all the Clinton Woodby fans, did not make an unscheduled pit stop right there for that number 3 machine. As here we go, caution flag is out. Stage number 1 will come to a close at the ShopFergie22.com Majula Safe Speed Shop number 318 of Matthew Catania leads and wins stage number 1 here this evening. Colton Hardy there in second. Clinton Woodby rounding out our top 3 there in our first stage. Skylar Berry, Matt Hayden, the top 5 with Michael Madden, Mark Beverly, Brett Evans, Rusty Modesty, and Caleb Kleinert rounding out the top 10 here in stage number 1 this evening. So stage 1 comes to a close here now for all these drivers. This is your time to shine down pit road. You got to try to make a decision. It's going to be a tough one here on what you really do, but I think for a lot of these drivers, you gotta get fuel. You gotta get fuel, you gotta get tires. You're gonna be down there filling these trucks up for, 10, 15 seconds anyway, so I don't think anyone's gonna take that strategy call or try to short pit it, as in, trying to get, maybe 2 tires out there. I don't think anyone goes for a 2-tire strat here. The tire fall off was already so big here this evening. Drivers had lost about 2 seconds per lap on tire fall off, and that's just over a 35 lap run. We still got a lot of racing left to go here in this one, as that stage came to an end. It was what, I think like 140 laps of racing action left here this evening, so that is a ton of laps, a ton of time to try to navigate your way to the front of the field or try to keep yourself out of trouble. As 140 laps, you're really going to start to think forward here on what you need to do, and here we go. We see a lot of drivers not taking tires right there. All right, so strategy calls here already. Tires going to become an issue still here. We do see everyone else starting to roll back down and onto the racetrack. We'll see if anyone decides to take tires early on. We do see Mark Beverly still held down there. The double zero still down there as well. Joe Bennett, we see that is Jesse Calloway down pit side there in the Liquid Death Sonographic Designs ride. They're still sitting down on pit road, so very interesting. And we do see Brett Summers. Summers stays out here as well, so gives up stage points, maybe trying to save a little bit more tire deeper in the field here during that first run, and he is going to stay out, as I do believe they don't have a whole lot of tires here for this race, so having to play this strategy game on when you use these tires are going to be a big thing here, as well as total tire sets. There's only 2 sets of tires back there behind pit wall, so that is very interesting here. Only 2 sets of tires. That really mixes things up here. That really puts a lot of stress in wear and tear on these race trucks here this evening, and on these drivers, knowing that they're going to have to really work hard here over probably, I'm going to say, probably 40 laps or so before we really start to see them come back down pit side here. Now for Brett Summers, I'm not sure what the strategy call is there. Obviously not getting fuel into this number 7 ride, but he was right out of the get-go slow on the racetrack, trying to save. There was a few other drivers like Bruce Bernard, Joe Bennett, some of these other drivers that were definitely farther off the pace and just kind of on cruise control there for a lot of that stage. We'll have to wait and see how this plays out for them, as the 7 rider Brett Summers controls that restart, gets a solid jump right there, but unfortunately that 318 machine of Matthew Catania just too strong, and using that inside lane, able to quickly move around Brett Summers. Summers now slides back into position number 2 and potentially even farther here, as they're 3 wide down the back straightaway. 3 wide racing here with the Metalheads Truck Series for position number 2. As Brett Summers trying to hang on to it, Clinton would be looking to take it away. Same with that 15 rider, Michael Madden. Is Madden now going to fall in behind here? He's going to get in behind that 7 ride. Looks like Brett Summers able to hold on the charge there from those 2 drivers, as he's running way up the racetrack, a totally different line than what a lot of these other drivers are running. And for right now, it's making it difficult for Michael Madden and the 92 ride of Clinton Woodby to try and get around him. And for Matthew Catania, this is exactly what he wants to see. Able to jump out in front, take that race lead away quickly from that 7 rider Brett Summers, and now trying to open up this lead once again, trying to build this advantage, trying to run away with this race. As on besides under that caution flag, he has led every single green flag lap here this evening. This 318 machine looks to be an unstoppable force here this evening. And an immovable object meets an unstoppable force, man. It creates some crazy action out there on the speedway, and for right now, looking to just hold on to that top spot, not wanting anyone to move him out of the way here. Matthew Catania continues to hold on to the race lead, 0.4 of a second now between himself and Clinton Woodby, as Woodby around Brett Summers, and now quickly reeling into the back bumper here of that Majula State Speed Shop 318. Michael Madden now trying to get around that Boston Web Marketing number 7 right here once again, trying to slide his way up and into position number 3. Hasn't been able to complete that pass. Is up on the high side. Brett Summers just holding tough here in this race, as we do see Brett Summers now finally sliding in behind that 15 right of Michael Matt. We do see Brett Evans now up and into position number 5. So Evans there into 5th. We do see John Herbert, though, down low. Herbert making some big moves here. The 87 machine quickly racing his way up inside the top 5 now by the looks of how quickly he is flying through the field right now. John Herbert may have a fresh set of tires onto this race car now. That may help him out a ton right now, but for later in this race, it may prove very, very difficult for that 87 ride. We'll have to wait and see kind of how these tires hold up and if he's able to use them to his advantage to potentially pick up a big win here this evening. As Brett Summers, Caleb Kleinert, Brett Evans now back into 7th. Here comes Rusty Modesty, Skylar Berry there in 9th, and Matt Hayden rounding out our top 10. Colton Hardy all the way back now into position number 12 as he's got Nick Garner there to his outside. Joe Bennett back here in position number 13. Keith Prince, Nate Cogdell, our top 15 with Mark Beverly, Bruce Barnard, and Jesse Galloway bringing up the rear of the field here. All 18 drivers still on the lead lap, but for all 18 drivers, a lot of them did not take tires during that first stage break. They're trying to save those 2 sets for a little later on here in the evening. If they can try to make it to about that halfway marker, then potentially try to throw a set on, give them that extra little bit of advantage there, run another 30-40 laps, come back down pit side, have those fresh tires again for the final, 30-40 laps of this race. I think that's probably the stage, kind of what everyone is thinking here, what everyone's planning out there on the racetrack. And for Matthew Catania, the first time under the green flag conditions, someone will pass him in here this evening. As John Herbert looks to be the one and only driver to potentially come down pit side, get those fresh tires, and unfortunately use his set early on here this evening. Now driving his way to the front of the field and looking to run away with it, as we do see Caleb Kleinert now up into position number 4 here as well. So Kleinert able to move forward here in this one. We'll have to wait and see how the tire fall off and how all these drivers are going to be able to handle all these changes that are race trucks here early on in our final stage of the day. As John Herbert out in front, he's looking to use these tires to his advantage here, trying to open up a massive lead between himself and Catania. Nice and easy down through corner number 3 and out of corner number 4. They will complete lap number 48 here this evening with John Herbert at the helm here this evening. Herbert leads the way, Catania back in second. It's now Caleb Kleinert up inside the top 3. Clinton would be back to 4th with Michael Madden there, trying to hang on to position number 5 out there on the racetrack, but that beautiful stadium ramp 46 is Skylar Berry going to jump up and take it away from him. So Madden slides back to 6. Here comes Rusty Modesty and Brent Summers there in 7th and 8th. Then we see Brett Evans back in 9th and Colton Hardy rounding out our top 10. Matt Hayden there in 11th with Nick Gardner back in 12th. Keith Prince in 13th with Joe Bennett, Nate Cogdell, Mark Beverly, Bruce Bernard, and Jesse Calloway bringing up the rear of the field here in this one. Some absolutely amazing racing out there on the racetrack. These drivers put on a hell of a show for us. Let's see if we can jump on board here with Brett Evans for a lap around New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Give you guys a look in here and what these drivers are dealing with out there on the racetrack as he heads down and out of corner number 4. He's back onto that throttle. He's hard on that gas as you build up all the speed. All of a sudden, you head into corner number 1. You got to roll out of it, slowly roll into that brake pedal, try to get this trunk checked up, try to make this corner, and as you start to leave corner number 2, you got to just slowly, very ever slowly roll back into the throttle. We've seen time and time again drivers out of corner number 2, out of corner number 4. You get back onto the throttle a little too quick, you lose that traction, you can spin your car around in a quick hurry. And for right now, looking absolutely perfect here for this one. Ryan obviously getting passed there by Colton Hardy, but able to hang on here to position number 10 out there on the racetrack, doing a fantastic job, giving us a good look in here at what these drivers are dealing with out there on the racetrack and what they can see here from the cockpit. Here we go. We start to see some more movement there as the 97 rider Colton Hardy getting a little bit loose down out of corner number 2. Luckily enough, catches it, keeps it rolling here as he's trying to now move around not only Rusty Modesty, but also around that 7 ride of Brett Summers, and both Summers and Modesty fall back a spot here as Colton Hardy back up inside the top 7 on the racetrack. He's looking to keep on moving forward, hoping to try to find his way up inside the top 2 here once again, seeing if he can try to go after a couple of these drivers at the front of the pack. But we do see John Herbert out in front, continuing to lead this race. Back behind him, it's Caleb Kleiner now into position number 2 here, as Kleiner and Matthew Catania continue to battle out here for position number 2 on the racetrack. Clinton Woodby there in 4th. Skylar Berry rounding out our top 5, as we do see Colton Hardy already around Michael Madden. Madden slides back into 7th. Hardy back up into 6th here in this one. So, woo! Doggy, these guys are putting on a show for us here today, chat. This is some great racing, some great strategy calls, some different strategy calls, which makes things that much more difficult, that much more intriguing for us here. Trying to figure out where these drivers are going to be, what they need to do, and how they need to try to navigate their way up to the front of the field here this evening. It's John Herbert out in front, showing these drivers how to get it done. Caleb Kleiner there in 2nd. Matthew Catania back in 3rd. Skylar Berry up into 4th, as Clinton Woodby falls back into the 5th position. Excuse me, as Woodby now into position number 5. Colton Hardy there in 6th. Michael Madden, Rusty Modesty, Brett Evans, and Brett Summers rounding out our top 10 on the racetrack. Matt Hayden trying to race his way back inside the top 10. Same with Nick Gardner, as both these drivers down quite a few positions. Hayden started on the outside of the front row, now down 9 positions, and finds himself 1 spot shy of the top 10 on the racetrack. He'll be looking to try to race his way back up to the front here before the night is over. Nick Gardner down 4 spots early on. He rolls there in 12th, and then a little farther back we see a couple other drivers that have unfortunately fallen back here. The 00 of Nate Cogdell back 7 spots. He started in the 7th position, now back in 14th. And for Mark Beverly, battling here at Keith Prince, unfortunately for Beverly, started in position number 5, now finds himself back in 16th, down to 11 positions on the racetrack. Now going to make it down 10 spots here as he makes his way around Keith Prince. Prince will slide back into the 16th spot here as Bruce Bernard and Jesse Galloway rounding out our field here this evening. It's all John Herbert, though. Herbert in that beautiful Ridge Power Sports KR Gunners number 1 ride here this evening, number 87 ride here this evening in the number 1 position, just sitting pretty there is that beautiful Sky Soldiers 87 machine. Beautiful patriotic paint scheme here still for that 87 machine, as the Sky Soldiers. Always amazing to see them on board here with Herbert out on the racetrack, supporting a great cause and a great squadron there in the U.S. military here. And we appreciate them and appreciate all of our military here. And a happy 250th anniversary to the USA military here. Saturday? Something like that? That they turned 150 years old? That's absolutely insane. As then in front, Herbert continued to try to stretch out that race lead, about 3 seconds now between himself and Caleb Kleiner. Kleiner rolls there in 2nd. He's got about a 1.3 second gap between him and that 318 machine of Matthew Catania. Skylar Berry there in 4th with Clinton Woodby, our top 5 out there on the racetrack. And you see Colton Hardy. Hardy unfortunately started a little deeper in the field out there on the racetrack, and after this restart, he was up inside the top 5. He finished that first stage on lap 35 in position number 2. Unfortunately, a bit of a tough restart, a bit of a tough time down pit road. He didn't restart up inside the top 10. Unfortunately, he was all the way back in around the 15th position, but he's been slowly but surely navigating his way back up through the field and trying to put himself back into a position to be in contention here this evening. As what's good? Go, pal. Yeah. Yadva, hopefully I'm saying that right. Coming in, drop that follow over there on Facebook. Appreciate you coming in, showing the love, and becoming a brand new part of the Peacemaker family here today. As out in front, it's still John Herbert. Herbert just doing a fantastic job here, leading this race, keeping all these drivers back there behind him as he starts to see that lead evaporate here a little bit. All of a sudden, Caleb Kleiner's catching him out there on the racetrack. Kleiner now within about 2.3 seconds here. He closed about 4/10, 5/10 last time around the start-finish line. Even that lap, just another 4/10 to the number 196 machine, and potentially Caleb Kleiner trying to hang back a little bit, trying to save those tires a little longer than the 87 Ryan. Herbert, I think, was just trying to run away with things, trying to put these guys as far back as possible, that where even if they do start to catch him, he will still have a huge advantage out there on the racetrack. Unfortunately, those last few laps, the advantage kind of dissipated quite a bit, as Herbert now only about 2 seconds in front of Caleb Kleinert. We do see Matthew Catania still back there in third, Skylar Barry there in fourth, and now Colton Hardy up inside the top 5. As Hardy rolls there in the 5th position, just getting around the 92 rider, Clinton Woodby. He may not be done yet, as he's quickly reeling into the back bumper here of that 46 is Skylar Barry in the 318 of Matthew Catania. We'll have to wait and see if he can make some moves, works his way back up here towards the front of the pack. As Mr. Clinton Woodby slides back into that 6th position. Michael Madden there in 7th with Rusty Modesty, Brett Evans, and Matt Hayden once again rounding out our top 10 on the racetrack. Nick Gardner there in 11th with Joe Bennett, Mark Beverly, Nate Cogdell, Keith Prince, Jesse Calloway, Bruce Bernard, and unfortunately for Brett Summers, he unfortunately did have to make that pit stop here. Came down pit road about 20 laps after everybody else, and during those green flag pit stops, he did go a lap down here in that Boston Web Marketing dialed in Motorsports number 7 ride. Now the only driver 1 lap down out there on the racetrack. And now good news is that potentially in the next 15-20 laps, we may see more drivers start to head down pit side, may want to start making some changes, try to get those fresh tires underneath their rides and see what they can do here, as right now tire fall off for a lot of these drivers that had not pitted there or did not take fresh tires during that first stage break. They're still over about 2 seconds behind their best lap time. So a lot of these drivers, some pretty sizable tire fall off right there, and some very, very worn out tires on the racetrack, as we do see Clinton Woodby looks to be the first driver down pit side. He would be that driver to head down pit road here first and make that first green flag pit stop of the day, as he gets those fresh tires put on. He rolls back out on the racetrack. Unfortunately, does fall a lap down out there on the racetrack, so he is a lap down out there on the speedway. But for that number 92 ride, is things stay clean and green, we continue to see these laps being laid down. We should see things kind of cycle through and everyone come back down pit side and make these green flag pit stops. Now for John Herbert, I'm not sure what that entitles and what that really gives him out there on the racetrack, as right now he does have about a 2-second lead still between himself and Caleb Kleiner. But if he did use a fresh set of tires up there during that first stage break, and he's got the freshest tires out there on the racetrack, everyone else back behind him is going to be looking to put him on here during this green flag run. And if he has older tires on compared to them, he may fall right back behind them again here on the racetrack. So we'll have to wait and see how this 87 ride can play out the strategy to try to put himself up and into victory lane here this evening. Excuse me, chat, as we'll have to, we're going to get ready to probably shotgun a rock star right here. Pull a little Kurt Cobain, you know. Woo! Oh, man. 6:30 in the morning came way too early today. For a Monday, 6:30 a.m. came way too early, chat. That was definitely not enough sleep for your boy. And unfortunately, we're paying for the price for it right now. But these drivers, they are keeping us awake. They're keeping us alert. And we're still watching some amazing racing action. Is down across the line. Our favorite lap just came to a close. Lap number 69 now completed here this evening. So 69 laps in, and we still got about, 106 laps left to go here in this race, something like that. 106 laps left here this evening for all these drivers to try to figure out their strategy and how to pick up this win. As Caleb Kleiner just over 2 seconds back behind behind John Herbert here. We do see about 2 seconds behind him is that 318 machine of Matthew Catania. Catania still holding on to position number 3 here this evening. Colton Hardy now up into position number 4 and looking for more, as I know he'll be looking at maybe maybe try to make the move around Catania here with some of these drivers later in this race. Is Skylar Berry there in 5th. Then we see Brett Evans, Michael Madden, Matt Hayden, Rusty Modesty, and Nick Gardner now rounding out our top 10. It's Mark Beverly there in 11th. Joe Bennett, Keith Prince, Nate Cogdell, Jesse Calloway, Bruce Bernard, our top 16, all yet to come back down pit road. We did see Clinton Woodby down pit side on lap number 65, and Brett Summers down pit side here on lap number 18. So for these drivers, man, they're battling hard out there on the racetrack. And you do see Clinton Woodby able to use those fresh tires to get around Brett Summers, and not only around Brett Summers, but also around our second place driver here. And they're looking to try to hunt down that number 87 of John Herbert. They would love to jump up to him, get around him, and race their way back onto the lead lap here this evening. It's now 72 laps completed. We get closer and closer to 100 laps left to go here today, chat. Almost 100 laps of racing action left here this evening. Is nice and easy down the back straightaway into corner number 3 and out of corner number 4, and continue to lead the way here in the Big Red Customs. Number 175 here this evening. The Custom... Is that what that says? I gotta make sure I get that right here. Yeah, the Big Red Custom Diecast 175 here this evening in full swing here, full song in bird, and we inch closer and closer to kind of hitting close to that halfway marker here. Still a lot of laps left, still a lot of time to try to navigate your way towards the front of the field here. But for right now, John Herbert, nice and easy down through corner number 3 and out of 4. Still has about a second and a half now between himself and Caleb Kleiner, as we do start to see more drivers head down pit side. Matt Hayden did come down pit road. We did see no one else coming down pit side as of yet. Only about 3 drivers have made those additional green flag pit stops here. So for a lot of these cats, early pit stops here, trying to leapfrog, trying to take advantage of some of these other older tires on the racetrack. Now you do see that 00 Ryan, the Revco Electrical Contracting Big Red Custom Diecast Sonographic Designs 00 machine. That paper cuts Ryan, heads down pit side into his pit stall. The crew is going to go to work, try to get that car fixed up, get those tires on it, and get him back out onto the racetrack here as quickly as possible. As John Herbert continues to lead us here, he does see that number 7 rider Brett Summers get back around him here. So Brett Summers does put himself back onto the lead lap. So does Clinton Woodby. So they're both now on the lead lap here this evening. That just shows you how good and how strong those fresh tires are, as Woodby now working his way around Jesse Calloway. Calloway is going to be very, very careful here. He's not too far away from our race leaders here, as not too far back behind him we do see John Herbert, and Herbert could potentially put him a lap down here even without that green flag pit stop for that 4 machine. We do see Nick Gardner. Gardner heads down pit side here, so we're seeing our 5th driver, I do believe, as we did see Hayden, Mark Beverly, Nate Cogdell, Brett Summers, and Clinton Woodby all make their secondary pit stops here this evening. For Nick Gardner, he is driver number 6 to make that green flag pit stop here this evening. And so far, we are still clean and green. Is what's good, Blair? Mr. Atwells, what is good, Blair? Blair coming in, showing the love here on the broadcast. What's good, Blair? How are you, brother? How's the Timmy's treating you? Hopefully, Tim Horton's treating you well, my boys. John Herbert out in front, continuing to lead the way here. Nice and easy down through corner number 3 and out of corner number 4. He will click off lap number 78 here this evening. So just a little under 100 laps of racing action left to go, and green flag pit stops starting to arise here. A bunch of drivers starting to head down pit side, starting to make these calls and these opportunities to try to race their way either up towards the front of the field, or other drivers are trying to figure out what they need to do. As last time around the racetrack, this number 13 rider Mark Beverly laid down not only his quickest lap of this race, but the quickest lap of this race. The fastest lap here this evening just got laid down here on lap number 76 by Mark Beverly, and now he's looking to continue on that pace and try to race his way, potentially leapfrogging a lot of drivers and working himself back out in front of this field. As we do see Jesse Calloway Callaway now down pit side. Bruce Bernard also down pit road. Here comes the 3 rider, Keith Prince, in that beautiful American Sign Language number 3 machine, also down pit road here, as well as the Songs for Sound ride down pit side here in that Johnny Johnson Motorsports ride here on pit road, looking to get some work done as we still see virtually our top 9 drivers yet to make this additional green flag pit stop here this evening. They were down pit road on lap number 37. Everyone from the 05 of Joe Bennett, who runs in the 9th position, all the way up to our race leader, John Herbert, yet to make this green flag pit stop. They're trying to stretch out that fuel, trying to work a little strategy here, and obviously trying to work out what they need to do for the tires here this evening, as Nick Gardner just laid down the quickest lap of this race here himself. Gardner with a 30:68 lap time just ran the quickest lap of this race, unfortunately taking the quickest lap away from the number, I believe it was the number 13 rider, Mark Beverly, who ran a 30:79, so about a 1/10 of a lap quicker there for Nick Gardner as well, showing he's got a lot of speed in that ride. As here comes the body armor 05 of Joe Bennett. Bennett now down pit side here. He will make that green flag pit stop, and another one of our drivers up at the front of the field making their way down pit road here this evening as John Herbert continues to lead the way. He did have that over 2-second, almost 3-second lead advantage that has started to dissipate. It has started to fall away as we do see Caleb Kleinert right there into position number 2, and he is not done yet as Colton Hardy up and into 3rd. Matthew Catania back into position number 4. Brett Evans there in 5th. Skylar Berry back in 6th. Michael Madden and Rusty Modesty, our top 8 out on the racetrack, all yet to make some green flag pit stops here this evening. We'll have to wait and see when these drivers finally decide to bite that bullet, head down pit road, and make these green flag pit stops here themselves, as now 83 laps complete. Next time around will be 84 laps done here this evening, and for these drivers, that is virtually looking at about a 47 lap run, something like that. 47 laps of green flag racing action since we went back to battle here. These drivers were down pit side on lap 37, so yeah, we're now at a 47 lap green flag run for these drivers. That is a lot of wear and tear on your tires. That is a lot of fuel burn off. That is a lot of everything kind of going against you out there on the racetrack, and with the other drivers that have made those early pit stops, giving them the fresh tires, the faster trucks, and could potentially leapfrog a lot of these cats and move forward through the field. And as these guys come down pit road, they could find themselves on the opposite side here of this strategy and going a lap down themselves, and that's definitely not a spot you want to be, as we do see Clinton Woodby came down pit road on lap number 65, came down pit side a lot earlier than a lot of these other drivers. Same with Brett Summers, and for right now, Clinton Woodby does have about a 7-second advantage between himself and Brett Summers on the racetrack right now, who's there in 10th. Matt Hayden not too far away from him. Hayden trying to move around that 7 right and see if he can try to hunt back down that number 92 of Clinton Woodby, as this could be potentially the battle for the race lead here this evening. We do see Nick Gardner right there as well. Gardner back in position number 12 with Mark Beverly, Nate Cogdell, Keith Prince, Joe Bennett, Jesse Callaway, and Bruce Bernard all rounding out our field here in this one. Is still our top 8 drivers yet to come down pit road, yet to make these green flag pit stops. Is nice and easy down through corner number 3 and out of corner number 4. This time by the start finish line, we will get that much closer to our halfway marker. The next time around the back straightaway, we will be technically halfway in, halfway to go here. 87 laps into this race and about 87 and a half laps left to go here this evening as they head down the back straightaway here today, as I do believe that equals out to be our 175 lap race. If math does serve me right, that 87 and a half does multiply by 2 into 175 as Caleb Kleinert continue to lead the way down and out of corner number 4. He will lead us just past that halfway marker here, as we are now halfway in and just under halfway to go through this race officially, that time by the start finish line. He now has about an 8/10 of a second lead between himself and John Herbert, as Colton Hardy back there in position number number 3 here. He's only about 3 seconds behind our race leaders and still running some great laps out there on the racetrack. Matthew Catania, who is our early race leader, won and led every lap there of stage number 1. And for the 318 machine, obviously on that strategy, not taking tires there during that first pit stop of the day down on the stage break, he quickly fell back into about that second spot, then back to third, now back into fourth, now trying to hold on and hold off Skylar Berry. As we do see Michael Madden, he will head down pit road here himself. So Madden heads down pit road, and we are left with only 6 drivers left to make these green flag pit stops here this evening. We'll have to wait and see when drivers do elect to start to head down pit side, as this is over a 50 lap run now. Over 50 laps, as lap number 90 just got clicked off the board here this evening. We're at about 93 laps of racing action for these competitors. That is a long time, and we'll really get to see kind of how far they can stretch this fuel and how strong and how far they can kind of stretch this tire game out as well, and see how long it'll play out for them and if it'll play out into their advantage here today, as Caleb Kleinert, our race leader, finally going to head down pit road here on lap number 90. So they head down pit side. Colton Hardy will stay out here. He'll consume that race lead. He will lead that lap, and for Colton Hardy, now leading this race here, has about a second between himself and Skylar Berry. Now these drivers still have to make their way down pit road, as Caleb Kleinert, John Herbert, and Matthew Catania all head down pit side. So 3 more of our race leaders here this evening, 3 more of those drivers that look to try to run that stage a lot longer than everybody else. They find their way down pit side. We did see Brett Evans a few laps ago. He was down on pit lane as well, as Evans came down pit side on lap number 88. We'll have to wait and see how good these fresh tires are compared to drivers that now have, 15, 20 laps onto their tires, as we saw drivers like Nick Gardner, Mark Beverly, some of these guys come down pit side virtually, 15, 16, 17 laps before the rest of these race leaders. Now we do see Colton Hardy down pit side. Modesty also down pit road here. Skylar Berry will stay out and lead a lap, as Berry continues to lead this race, but now looks like he will make his way down pit side here in the 46 grind. Could not stretch it any farther, and that will complete lap number 93. So for these drivers, that was about a 56 lap run right there, and I think that's kind of right around the extreme that you can run. I think that's kind of right around the area that you can mostly run without having to take fuel here, and I think around that 55, 56, 57 area, that's kind of where drivers find their maximum amount of fuel in these rides. So we'll have to wait and see how it all kind of plays out right there, as we did see the 46. Did he get jacked up? Let's play this back. I don't think he threw tires onto this 46 ride, so maybe a big strategy call here out of the Metalheads 46 machine. Now throw those fresh tires on. We'll have to wait and see how this plays out for him, if that's going to work out for him here today or not, as he did not take those fresh tires, trying to save a set for late in this race, as one of those drivers that did come down pit road earlier than everybody else. He was down pit side on lap number 65. It's Clinton Woodby. Woodby now consumes that race lead as things cycle back through. Woodby's out in front with Matt Hayden now into second here, but Hayden is about 5.4 seconds back behind our race leader. Nick Gardner even farther back there, 12 seconds behind our race leader, 6.6 seconds back of Matt Hayden, and then Brett Summers, he's a little farther back there in position number 4. Mark Beverly there in 5th, and Caleb Kleinert back in position number 6. Kleinert, Catania, and that number 97 rider, Colton Hardy, all just laid down their quickest laps of this race with those fresher tires on their race trucks there last time by the start-finish line. So these guys are definitely starting to move, wanting to drive and try to race their way back up to the front of the field, but we'll have to wait and see if maybe they try to take it a little bit easier here, still trying to save some of that tire for late in this race, if they can navigate their way, make it another 30, 40 laps, and then throw that final set of good tires onto their race cars, potentially having the best tires and maybe potentially the best strategy here late in this race. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out, as right now Caleb Kleinert back in 6th here. He is about 15 seconds away from our race leader right now, so that just shows you how good the tires are, the fresh tires are out there on the racetrack, as Clinton Woodby came down pit side just outside the top 5 there when he made his pit stop on lap number 65. He was outside the top 5, getting closer towards that top 10 there, and unfortunately for the 92 machine, he was that far back, came down pit road, did do that short pit, was able to use those fresh tires to his advantage and navigate his way through the field here, and obviously as everyone else coming down pit road, all of a sudden he finds himself at the front of this pack, leading the way and showing all these drivers how to get it done here in this one as he's looking to try to nail this strategy right out of the park as Clinton Woodby, Matt Hayden, Nick Gardner, our top 3, Mark Beverly back there in 4th with Caleb Kleinert, our top 5 out on the racetrack. As Kleinert is able to work himself around Brett Summers, so Summers does slide back into that 6th spot on the racetrack. Now here comes Matthew Catania, Brett Evans, and that number 15 of Michael Madden not too far away, as well as unfortunately some of those drivers on the opposite side of that strategy. Sometimes it works out perfectly, sometimes it hurts you here, as we do see the 7 of Brett Summers starting to fall back here once again. Now he was down pit road on lap number 57. He came down pit side even 8 laps before Clinton Woodby did. Unfortunately for Brett Summers, he has been sliding backwards and backwards and backwards. All these French tires now making moves around him and passing him out there on the racetrack, and unfortunately now finds himself back in 8th, and he's not too far away from having to make another pit stop here himself late in the kind of midway through this race right now. Is down across the line. The 92 ride of Clinton Woodby will complete lap number 100. So 100 laps of racing action done here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, and we only get 75 laps of racing action left to go. Only one caution flag so far here this evening, and that was at our stage break on lap number 35. Other than that, it's been clean green racing action. A lot of elbows up and door to door and a little rubbing and scrubbing out there on the racetrack, but no caution flags for incidences here this evening as Clinton Woodby continues to lead this thing and looking to continue to try to hold that advantage or run even farther away with it here today. As ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we can't thank you guys enough for tuning in. Everyone coming in with the likes, the comments, the shares. We appreciate each and every single one of you. And if you haven't already, man, make sure you guys do us a favor, man. Hit that thumbs up button right now on the stream for us. Hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that follow and subscribe button. Become part of the Peacemaker family here today, as we are now inside 75 laps left to go here in the Big Red Custom Diecast 175 here with the Metalheads Truck Series. As we'll jump into our Peacemaker Gaming Crank It Up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what we want you to do right now is crank up that volume and cheer on your favorite drivers as we crank it up here on Peacemaker Gaming. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, give it up here to all these drivers. A beautiful crank it up session out there on the racetrack as now we start to see our second wave of green flag pit stops underway for a lot of these drivers heading down pit side, making changes, getting those tires, and trying to make their final pit stop of the day as drivers are to make those aggressive moves down pit road early on here. And often we see Nick Garner down pit side. We see a bunch of these other drivers head down pit side as last time around this number 97 ride of Colton Hardy ran the quickest lap of this race. A 30:49, the quickest lap here this evening, and for Colton Hardy, he's looking to try to take these good laps, the fresh tires, and this 97 ride up and into a winning situation here this evening. Now there's a lot of drivers in front of them that have already made these green flag pit stops. When you look up at Clinton Woodby came down pit road on lap number 119 for Matt Hayden, 123. Brett Summers came down pit road on lap 112, and for Mark Beverly, Nick Garner, Colton Hardy, they were all shortly thereafter. And for Colton Hardy, he actually came down pit road after Nick Gardner, and Gardner going to get out of pit lane before Colton Hardy, so he's going to have better tires and about couple seconds of gap here between himself and Hardy. That's a tough break right there for Colton, as Nick Garner could be in a catbird seat right now, but for Clinton Woodby could potentially have the race-winning move here. Came down pit side basically as that fuel window was opening for him. That should be his last and final pit stop there on lap 119. Now, unfortunately for Clinton, that is going to give him another long green flag run where he's going to have to try to keep these tires underneath him, try to save a little bit, but also try to keep on laying great laps there where he can try to build an advantage and a gap between himself and all these other drivers. Once they make these green flag pit stops, he wants to be able to have a huge lead between them and himself. As right now, the drivers back behind him that have came down pit road and have made those green flag pit stops here would be Matt Hayden. Hayden would be considered our second place driver here at the end of these green flag pit stops. And for Matt Hayden, he's sitting in position number 8 right now on the racetrack, and he's about 6.5 seconds behind Clinton Woodby. Now, he does have about 4 lap better tires. We'll have to wait and see how much of an advantage that will give him here late in this race as he tries to track down this 92 ride. And for Clinton Woodby, will this strategy play out perfectly for him? Will he be able to hit his cues here, be able to save that fuel, be able to make it to the end of this race, have these tires hold up, and biting a late race caution flag, hang on to potentially win this race here, as we do see Brett Evans, who was our race leader, now head down pit side. So the Flamin' Hot Cheetos #1 machine down pit road here, making his potentially final pit stop of the evening. For Matthew Catania, still rolling out there, same with Caleb Kleinert, Michael Madden, Rusty Modesty, and Keith Prince yet to come down pit side. Joe Bennett yet to come down pit road here as well. So a lot of these drivers on a bunch of different pit strategies here this evening. For some of them, has them in a good position. For others, not such a great spot out there on the racetrack, as we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. Is Catania going to stay out for at least another lap here? Now him, Caleb Kleinert, Michael Madden, and the 6th rider Rusty Modesty. A lot of these drivers came down pit road as the final drivers during that first run, that first wave of green flag pit stops. They were kind of the latest drivers to head down pit side. Now they're starting to worry about potentially their strategy here. Will it play out for them? Will it put them into a position that they will be sitting pretty out there on the speedway? As of right now, the 318 machine, if he comes down pit side and makes this green flag pit stop, him and Caleb Kleinert, a lot of these other drivers will be quite a ways behind Clinton Woodby, Matt Hayden, now potentially even Brett Evans, as Evans came down pit road there on lap 135. He finds himself now back about 12 seconds behind Clinton Woodby. He's about 6 seconds back behind the number 5 ride there, as well as we did see one driver sliding right there. Luckily enough for the Florida Gator 17 rider, Bruce Bernard, he's able to catch that ride, keep it pointed the right direction. We stay clean and green, but boy, oh boy, oh boy, did that ever come very, very close to our second caution flag of the day. As he sends it in there on cold tires, unfortunately just loses that rear end, gets a little sideways, able to catch it, able to keep on rolling, and luckily enough, able to keep us under the green flag here this evening. As you do see Joe Bennett right there, ends up coming down pit side here himself, so he's making his green flag pit stop now. Here comes Michael Madden. Madden heads down pit road. He's making his green flag pit stop here this evening. So right now there's only about 3 drivers at the front of the field here who have yet to make their final pit stops of the day. Matthew Catania, Caleb Kleinert, Rusty Modesty, all yet to come back down pit road here this evening. For Rusty, he's been blinking quite a bit here in this race, but not too shabby, not too bad, so he's able to keep on battling here. Hopefully it doesn't affect his race or someone else is out there on the racetrack. As here we go, Catania will head down pit side, so he makes a hard left-hand turn, comes down pit road. As he rolls down the pit lane here, he will click off lap number 140 here. So 140 laps are now complete here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. That means we got about 35 laps of racing action left to go here. We do see Rusty Modesty also come down pit road. Caleb Kleinert, though, will stay out a little bit longer here, at least another lap, as Kleinert will stay as our race leader out there on the racetrack. Hence that 196 ride out in front of the field here, keeping all these other drivers back there behind him, but looking to potentially come down pit side here very soon, as Clinton would consume that race lead once Caleb Kleinert comes down pit side. He's about 10 seconds behind our race leader. Matt Hayden has closed about 2 seconds here on Clinton Woodby. Now he does have about 4 lap better tires. He is tracking down that number 92 ride, and for Brett Evans, he has closed that gap on both of them here, hunting them both down as Matthew Catania does come out of the pits here. Now he's got about 5 lap better tires than Brett Evans, and only about 3.5 seconds, all about 4 seconds back behind Brett Evans here as well. So all these different tire strategies and everything else, it'll be interesting to see how they play out if tires start to balance out a little bit more longer in this run, as right now Clinton would be, if Caleb Kleinert does come down pit road. For Clinton, he will be that race leader, but it will be a matter of time before drivers start to catch him, start to roll into his back bumper here, as Matt Hayden less than 4 seconds back behind him now. Brett Evans less than 7 seconds behind Clinton Woodby, and about 3.5 seconds behind Matt Hayden here. Matthew Catania just laid down the quickest lap of this race, a 30:47. Now with the quick time here this evening to that 3:18 machine, and our pole sitter looking to try to run his way to the front of the field, as now we do see Rusty Modesty. Modesty did not get as good of a pit stop there, and obviously was quite a ways behind Matthew Catania, but did come down pit road on lap number 140 as well. And for Rusty, he just laid down the quickest lap of this race, and now rolls around Nate Cogdell for position number 11, as Rusty laid a 30:43. Some great lap times being laid down here from some of these drivers trying to race their way to the front of the field, as now here comes that 196 Caleb Kleinert heads down pit road. He will make his green flag pit stop here, potentially his final pit stop of the day, as Clinton Woodby now consumes this race lead. Woodby out in front now. He's got about 4 lap better tires than Matt Hayden, but he's got about 16 lap worse tires than Brett Evans here. So Evans closing the gap on both of them in a quick hurry. Now catching them is one thing, making the move and passing them is a whole different story. Same goes with Matthew Catania, as Catania right there in position number 4, and now looking for more is Mark Beverly back in 5th. Nick Gardner there in 6th. Caleb Kleinert comes out of pit lane here after pitting on lap 144 here. He has got the freshest tires out there on the racetrack, but sits back in position number 7. He's about 19 seconds back of Clinton Woodby. Matt Hayden right there. He's about 15 seconds behind Hayden. He's about 14 seconds behind Brett Evans now, and about 12 seconds behind Matthew Catania. So we'll have to wait and see how the strategy plays out there for Caleb Kleinert. But right now, it's looking like it may be a bit of a struggle bus here for Clinton Woodby, as Woodby less than 3 seconds now separating him and Matt Hayden. He's just hoping to see this race come to a close as quickly as possible, and hoping that these guys can't hunt him down, can't make their way around him here before that checkered flag is thrown. But now with only 146 laps down in this race, it'll be 147 off the board this time by the start finish line. We start to inch closer and closer in to about that 27 laps or 28 laps left of this race. So there's not a whole lot of time, not a whole lot of laps left here in this one, as it's been clean and green here. Some great racing, some absolutely amazing green flag racing here this evening at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, as we've only seen the one caution flag for our stage break. So virtually clean and green this entire race long, as all these drivers doing a fantastic job job. No issues out there on the racetrack for these competitors. And down across the line, lap number 149 up and onto the board there. 148 off of the board here, and we inch closer and closer to seeing only about 25 laps left here in this race. We inch towards that 150 laps completed here this evening here in the Big Red Custom Diecast 175 here with the Metalheads Truck Series. As out in front, it is Clinton Woodby. Woodby leads the way here. 2.3 seconds between himself and this 5 ride of Matt Hayden, but Hayden's going to have company here in a quick hurry. Here comes Brett Evans. Here comes Matthew Catania. Some fresh tires right there on that number 5 ride's back bumper in as they start to race here for position number 2. Hayden isn't going to want to give up the spot too easily, and that may allow Clinton Woodby to try to keep pace with these guys, maybe open up a little bit more of an advantage out there on the racetrack. We'll have to wait and see how quickly this kind of resolves itself as these three battling hard right here for position number 2 on the racetrack. They're all trying to hunt down that 92 of Clinton Woodby. Nick Garner a little farther back here, about 14 seconds back behind that battle, as we do see Mark Beverly, Michael Madden, Rusty Modesty there in 8th. Caleb Kleinert, unfortunately, back in position number 9. Now, I don't know if Caleb Kleiner took tires or not right there, as he is far off the pace than everybody else. So I'm not sure if Caleb has got that extra set of tires onto his trunk right now. And he's falling farther and farther back here. He's now about 20 seconds back behind Clinton Woodby, and unfortunately running slower lap times than our race leader, who came down pit road virtually, I don't even know, 25 laps after he did. Is Matthew Catania able to work his way right on through Brett Evans and Matt Hayden? And Matthew Catania, our race leader early in this race, our stage 1 winner, our pole sitter here this evening, that Majulase Speed Shop, ShopFergie22.com. Paper cuts ride up and into position number 2, and he is tracking down Clinton Woodby in a quick hurry. He's down across the line, lap number 152 off the board here this evening. We see only 23 more laps left to go. So 23 laps left here this evening for the Metalheads Truck Series here today, as Clinton Woodby leads us nice and easy down into corner number 3. And right there you see that number 318 machine. It is Matthew Catania. Much better tires here, 21 lap better tires than Clinton Woodby, and he's going to look to just try to make quick work of that 92 ride, take that race lead away, and drive away with the win here, potentially here this evening. Now, biting a late race caution flag, and some drivers potentially having that extra set of tires on their race trucks late in this race could be in the catbird seat here this evening. We'll have to wait and see who's got those fresh tires left, who's going to have potentially a good run here late in this race, as it'll be interesting to see if that yellow flag does get displayed here late this evening. As nice and easy down across the line, lap 154 off the board. 21 laps of racing action left here, as you see Catania now leading this race almost a second already between himself and Brett Evans. As Evans down low, able to jump up, make that move around the 92 right of Clinton Woodby, as you see Woodby get very loose there on corner exit, able to catch that car, keep it rolling, stays in position number 3, but unfortunately now back into that 3rd spot. The strategy didn't quite work out for him there. If he maybe had another, if this race was 150 laps, would have worked out perfect for him, but unfortunately now back in position number 3, just trying to hang on to a solid podium run here today, is Matthew Catania looking to put more and more of these drivers a lap down, or multiple laps down, as he looks to make the move around the 87 ride right there of John Herbert. Now looking to make the move around the 46 of Skylar Berry. Unfortunately, that will put Berry a lap down out there on the racetrack. So that is our 13th place driver now a lap down. Now he's in that lucky dog position. He's hoping to stay there for quite a while, but Brett Summers not too far away from our race leaders here, and potentially could be the next driver to go a lap down here this evening. Nate Cogdell a little farther forward there, rounding out our top 11 on the racetrack there as he sits in the 11th position there on the racetrack as Catania leads the way. Brett Evans there in second. Clinton Woodby back in third. Hayden there in fourth. Michael Madden up and into fifth with Rusty Modesty back in sixth. Mark Beverly, Nick Gardner, Caleb Kleinert, and Colton Hardy are top 10 out there on the racetrack. Hardy does see Caleb Kleinert right there in front of him, wanting to pick up at least another spot on the racetrack there. Knows that that is a battle for position between himself and the 196 machine, and he does have maybe a little bit better car right now. I'm not sure. The tires are kind of a little bit back and forth here between these two, so we'll have to wait and see if he'll be able to take advantage and make his way around that 196 here before the end of this race. As out in front, we do see Matthew Catania continuing to lead the way here, 7/10 of a second between himself and this one rider, Brett Evans. Evans rolls in position number 2, trying to keep all these other drivers back there at bay, as right now it looks like it is down to these two. Everyone else back behind them is either on older tires or too far back to potentially even catch him here. As Clinton Woodby now back in about 3 seconds behind these guys, 4 seconds behind our race leader, Matt Hayden. He's about 5 seconds back behind Matthew Catania. And then we take a look at Michael Madden. Madden, he's got some fairly good tires on his truck here, as well as Rusty Modesty, but unfortunately for both of these drivers, they sit about 17 seconds back of our race leaders, and with not a lot of laps left in this race, it is going to take a miracle or potentially a late race caution flag to be able to reel them in out there on the racetrack. But Brett Evans, he did come out of pit lane here about 5 laps before Matthew Catania. Catania was able to make some quick moves, drive up and around that one ride, not only past Brett Evans, but also past Clinton Woodby there rather quickly. Now, I thought that Matthew would just kind of pull away with this one. Maybe he's just trying to play with his food here a little bit, trying to make things a little bit more exciting. Now that he's got the race lead, maybe he's just trying to manage that gap right there between him and that one rider, Brett Evans. Maybe not push the subject too much out there on the racetrack and just try to make sure that if there is a late race caution flag, that he's got a little something left in the tank here for the rest of this field, as Catania leads us down and across the line here, clicking off lap 1, number 161 here this evening. Lap 161 now into the books here, and only 14 laps left to go here, and what has been a fairly picture-perfect race here from the Metalheads Truck Series. The only caution flag we have seen was for that stage break. Other than that, we have been clean and green non-stop. Green flag racing here in this one. When we went back to green flag here, I want to say that was around what, lap number 39-ish or so, when we went back to green flag racing here this evening, lap 39. We went back to battle here this afternoon, and now all of a sudden, after what, 130 laps, something like that, we're inching towards 2. We are still clean and green. We have not seen another caution flag out there on the racetrack. 110 laps, 120 laps, 125 laps or something. This time by the start finish line, somewhere around there. It's been a lot of laps here of non-stop green flag racing, and for these drivers, man, they have got to be absolutely tuckered out. This is a lot of racing. This is a lot of laps, a long race, and for them, being able to just keep it clean and green and lay down all these laps without having any issues is absolutely amazing to see, man. As you do see Brett Evans still, slowly but surely, catching up to our race leader. Even though he has 5 lap older tires, he's closing the gap there on that 318 machine of Matthew Catania. We'll have to wait and see if Catania can continue to manage that gap, keep that number 1 right back there at bay. Is that time out of 3 and 4 able to open up about another 1/10 of a second between himself and Brett Evans, as the gap is about half a second here late in this race. So half a second between first and second out there on the speedway. They got about 6 seconds, 7 seconds behind them, all the way back to our 3rd place driver now, that number 92 of Clinton Woodby. Woodby trying to hold on to position number 3, Matt Hayden trying to track him down here. Unfortunately for Hayden, hasn't been able to really run much better laps than the 92 ride. Seems like he's kind of stalled out back here in that 4th position, but still trying to reel him in, still wanting to try to park this 5 ride up and onto the podium here this evening. Now a ways away back there, now 19 seconds back of our race there. You see Michael Madden and Rusty Modesty. Mark Beverly there in 7th, Nick Gardner back in 8th. Colton Hardy there in 9th, and Caleb Kleiner rounding out our top 10 as Nate Cogdell there in 11th. Skylar Barry back in position number 12. The first car 1 lap down, but that's only for right now, as Nate Cogdell may be the next driver to go a lap down here this evening. Brett Summers there in 13th. Joe Bennett, Keith Prince, Jesse Calloway, John Herbert, and Bruce Barnard rounding out our field here today. As so absolutely great racing here, non-stop green flag battles out there on the racetrack. And you do see Catania now trying to work his way around Nate Cogdell. That will put Cogdell a lap down, so the 0-0 machine falls back a lap here in this race, but now in that free pass position here this evening as Catania down across the line will click off another lap, and we inch a little bit closer to our checkered flag with only 8 laps left to go. So 8 laps left here in this one as the Big Red Custom Diecast 175 here, powered by the Metalheads Truck Series. An absolutely picture-perfect race, and for a driver that's been looking to be that reflection of perfection here this evening, has led a ton of laps, binding some of the different pit strategies and everything else out there on the racetrack. Catania has been very, very strong. Obviously qualified in that pole position, led all 35 laps early in this race to win stage number 1 and earn those maximum points there in that stage break, and the points allowed in that stage there. And for Matthew Catania, he rolls out in front looking to try to capture another big checkered flag here in that 318 machine as he rolls down through quarter 3 and out of 4. He will click off our second favorite number, lap 169, now into the books here. 169 done here this evening, and for some of these drivers, unfortunately, maybe cutting a little too close on fuel, and we do see Brett Summers unfortunately have to make a late race pit stop here. The Boston Web marketing ride unfortunately did not hit his pit strategy perfectly, did not catch a caution flag or anything else, and has to come down pit side to get some fuel here to be able to finish off the final 5-6 laps of this race. As Matthew Catania down and out of corner number 4, back down across the line, he will see the high 5 here from our flag man. 5 more laps here of racing action as he is once again grown that race lead to about 0.8 of a second between himself and Brett Evans. Evans cannot hunt him down. Clinton Woodby, he's about 9, almost 10 seconds back behind our top 2 drivers here. You do see Matt Hayden still about 7/10 back behind him. Has not been able to reel in that 92 ride to steal position number 3 away from him. Michael Madden there in 5th. Rusty Modesty back in 6th. Mark Beverly, Nick Garner, Colton Hardy, our last driver on the lead lap as of right now, but he may not be on the lead lap for very long, as that QH Design, Sonographic Designs winning bid number 97 ride does go a lap down out there on the racetrack as well. As Catania will take the race lead here down into corner number 3. Nice and easy, over a second between himself and Brett Evans. He's had this thing on cruise control, just biding his time, knowing that he does not want to see a late race caution flag and see this kind of race get flipped upside down here this evening, as he's only got 3 laps left to go here. A picture perfect race by all these drivers here this evening. No issues out there on the racetrack, no problems here between these drivers. Is everyone able to keep their trucks pointing the right direction, and no caution flags for incidents here this evening, as 173 laps about to be completed here today. We will get only 2 more laps left to go here. 2 more laps left for Matthew Catania, as Catania down the front straightaway sends it down into corner number 1. We do see some issues a little deeper in the field here. John Herbert running into some problems. Let's take a look at the 87 ride, as the Ridge Power Sports 87 machine just down and out of corner number 2 gets loose, washes down the racetrack. Hard contact into the inside fence. Now luckily enough, he keeps it down on the apron and keeps that truck rolling, so no caution flag. A lucky break right there for Matthew Catania, as now we do see that white flag fly. 1 more lap around here for the 318 machine. He's on cruise control, almost 2 seconds now between himself and Brett Evans. He's on cruise control here looking for a big win here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. As Matthew Catania for the final time here this evening will send it down into corner number 3. Nice and easy out of corner number 4, and he will capture the big red custom diecast 175 checkered flag here in the Metalheads Truck Series live from New Hampshire Motor Speedway. It's Matthew Catania who picks up the checkered flag and wins this race from the pole position. And winning stage number 1 here this evening, Catania captures the dub and will pull himself up and into the New Hampshire Speedway victory lane. Brett Evans will come home in second. Clinton would be back in third. Matt Hayden, Michael Madden, Rusty Modesty, Mark Beverly, Nick Gardner, our last driver on the lead lap there in 8th. Colton Hardy and Caleb Kleiner rounding out our top 10 here this evening as the 318 machine will get ready to celebrate here today as you'll get ready to burn down the house here in New Hampshire. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up here for our race winner, Matthew Catania. If you guys haven't already, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that follow and subscribe button, as what a run and what a performance there for that 318 machine. Brett Evans back there in second, having himself another good run here this evening, and Clinton would be rounding out our top 3 here today, man. These guys putting on a heck of a show, and we'll get ready to pull our top 3 up and into the broadcast booth here for their post-race interviews. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up here for our race winner, Matthew Catania. Hey, Matthew, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. Did you get a copy?
Hey, what's up?
Not much, Matthew, man. What a run. What a race, man. Take us back through this one, man. How tuckered are you guys after not only running virtually 175 laps of green flag racing, but doing it at the top of the level here this evening? The car to beat all night long, leading a ton of laps, and obviously having to deal with a bunch of different tire strategy and pit strategy here this evening, man. Take us back through this race, and how does it feel to be able to capture this one and pull yourself up and into the New Hampshire Speedway victory lane?
Yeah, man, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't expect this coming into it. This is not my favorite track. This is not a track I'm usually good at. So to start off pretty fast, it was nice. It was refreshing. To get the pole was even better. I was like, oh wow. And yeah, I just kind of felt like I was cruising when I was in the lead. There was one point after the stage I burnt my tires up and I lost a few spots there, but I felt pretty good throughout the whole run. A lot of good racing throughout the whole field. Nobody really seemed to drive too hard above their head. It was awesome going green flag the whole time, man.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always fun to watch you guys and try to really see how these, pit strategies play out and tire strategies. Is only having 2 sets out there on the racetrack. Now, the tire fall off wasn't insane, but it was still pretty significant out there. So only having those 2 sets back behind pit wall, man, how did you really have to attack this race and try to save those tires to have them here late in this race and drive yourself back up and into victory lane?
Yeah, it seemed there was a lot of different strategies going on there. I knew with only 2 sets, it was a long race. I knew tire wear was going to be pretty bad. At least it was going to make a difference. I just went in with a strategy of not pitting at stage, see what the tires do, and go from there. So I pitted for tires for my second fuel stop there at like lap 90, I think, and just kind of sat in a groove. Big thing was tire management. Yeah, you just don't want to get the right front too hot. Really easy to slide it here.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very hot racetrack. Very easy to slide around here, especially not only on corner entry, but also on corner exit. We see a lot of different series when you get back onto that throttle. If you jam that throttle down, you can spin those tires, break traction in a quick hurry, and loop that car. As late in this race, I'm not sure if you saw it down the back straightaway, but John Herbert, with about 2-3 laps left to go in this race, did that exact same thing. Got onto the throttle a little bit too much, spun the truck around, got into that inside fence, and almost brought out that late race caution flag, which would have been a crazy late race green-white checkered here this evening, as that would have really mixed things up and for a lot of different drivers on different tire strategies and everything else. How confident were you there if we did get that late race yellow?
Honestly, I was getting a little worried. Once I got by Brent and Matt there, like 20 to go or so, um, I thought I was in a good spot. I was pulling away from him, but then Brent started to reel me back in, and it started to worry me a little bit. Not gonna lie. So I was trying to change up my line, try to find the grip because the grip kind of changed throughout the track, throughout the race. Um, so just trying to find that grip, trying to keep the tires underneath me, that was the biggest thing. But
Absolutely.
I was not confident in the late race yellow there.
Absolutely. Well, that would be short track racing at its finest to see you guys be able to duke it out there late in this race. But man, no better way to finish this race than watch you pull away and drive up into cruise control across the line and into victory lane here this evening, as no one was able to do it better than you here today. Matthew, who's like to thank, man, for such a great run and strong performance in winning tonight's Big Red Customs Diecast 175.
I'd like to thank the CCR, Caleb and Cooper and Ashley. We all work together and try to get better every week. So it's nice to have them in my corner. I'd like to thank Nate for putting on the league and you for broadcasting, man. You do a great job.
Appreciate that, brother. Well, Matthew, hell of a run, heck of a drive here this evening, man, and hopefully many more checkered flags and trips up here into the broadcast booth for you throughout the rest of the season, as we can't wait to see you guys back out there on the racetrack next Monday and trying to pick up a back-to-back win here potentially for yourself next week.
Yes, sir. That'd be awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your night, and don't party too hard down there in Victory Lane.
All right.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our race winner, Matthew Catania. As Catania picks up the win here this evening, man. Heck of a run, heck of a drive there for him here today. As let's see if we can find our second place driver. Does not look like we have Brett Evans in the Discord here for post-race interviews. So with no Brett in attendance here to pull him in, looks like we will get ready to pull in, see if we can pull in Clinton Woodby. Woodby is waiting patiently here. We'll give some shout-outs here. Brett Evans in that Flamin' Hot Cheetos Sonic Graphic Designs #1 ride. Absolutely outstanding run here this evening. Looked like maybe he was going to reel back in that 318, give him a run for his money late in this race. Unfortunately, just could not keep that those tires underneath of him and fell off there later on in that final run, and unfortunately settles in for position #2, but still a very, very solid and great run there for Brett Evans here this evening. As we'll get ready now to pull in our third place finisher, it's Clinton Woodby. Woodby coming home here in position #3. Let's get him up here into the booth. Hey Clinton, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. You get a copy?
Yeah, I got you, bud.
Clinton, man, solid run, solid drive here today, man. Take us back through this one. Obviously, a whole different tire strategy and pitch strategy than everybody else out there on the racetrack here, and it almost pays off for you, almost puts you up in the victory lane. Unfortunately, though, Catania and Brett Evans just having those fresher tires and some good track position late in this race were able to hunt you back down and steal this win away from you.
Yeah, I should have stretched that first green flag pit. I had 14, 15 extra laps of fuel than everybody else where I short pit, but I just figured I didn't really try to do the math. I didn't think it was close. I thought everybody would have to stop on the at least one more time to just splash and go. So when I stopped on the last stop with like 55, 56 to go and realized I was like a lap shy, I kind of knew I was in trouble then because I done pit too soon earlier in the race. I knew I was going to lose time on fresh tires, mainly because I was going to be saving fuel the whole run pretty much. I think I ended with like 0.8 left, so I wasn't really able to make up any time on the tires when I did have them.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's a tough spot to be. Obviously, trying to save a little bit of fuel, but also still trying to run a ton of laps there and try to open up a big advantage between yourself. Now, you had a big enough advantage where Matt Hayden, who came down pit road shortly after you, couldn't get around you here this evening. It was just those late race calls for Catania and Evans, who seemed to be, super, super fast all night long. They were going to be tough to beat here no matter what, I think, this evening, and unfortunately, they were able to get around you, but you were able to hang on and keep, Hayden, Madden, and all these other drivers back there behind you. You still got to feel pretty solid about how the strategy kind of played out for you here this evening.
Yeah, when we started the race, I just wanted to get good stage points and have a good finish, so I think finished where I started, so I'll take that.
Absolutely right. Exactly where you started there in position number 3 here this evening, Clinton. Who would you like to thank for another solid run and another podium finish here this evening?
Shout out to my girlfriend Megan and Blair Peterson, the Win and Bid diecast. Can't thank them enough. And teammate Matt tonight. Me and him was kind of going over strategy. Seems like every week we had to start talking strategy while we're qualifying. So we were talking that all night. And you for the broadcast and Nate for the league. Everybody that puts this on.
Absolutely, brother. Well, Clinton, great run, great drive here this evening, my boy, and we can't wait to see you back out there on the racetrack next Monday. See what tricks you got up your sleeve and see if you can try to find your way back up here into the broadcast booth and maybe a couple spots better next week and back up into victory lane.
Yep, we'll go for it.
You enjoy the rest of your night.
You too.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our third place finisher. Clinton Woodby, as Woodby comes home in position number 3 here this evening, man. Great run, great drive, great strategy out of that 92 ride here today. As ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, unfortunately, that is going to do it for us here in this one. So that is going to do it for us in this race. The action has come to a close. What could have been a very, very long race. We've seen races here at New Hampshire have, 10, 15 cautions out there on the racetrack, and all these yellow flags, they take a long time. They add in, I'd say probably on average about 5 laps, usually about 5 laps, but usually about 5 minutes or maybe even a little longer there for a lap. So having 10 caution flags, you add 5 minutes every caution that we get, that kind of adds up to about another 50 minutes. So what could have been an actually very long broadcast, which could have been stretching more towards that 2.5 or 3 hour long broadcast with a bunch of caution flags. These drivers do an absolutely amazing job, and that just is a testament to how good these Metalhead Truck Series drivers are, where we see only the one yellow flag here this evening, and it wasn't for incident out there on the racetrack. It was from our stage break. Other than this stage break, which you can throw that caution flag virtually out the window, we went 175 laps of green flag racing here this evening. 175 laps of non-stop racing action here at New Hampshire Speedway here today, man. Was a heck of a show, heck of a drive, and we can't thank all these drivers enough for jumping out there, putting on a show for us, putting on a great race, and running with some good hard respect here this evening, and we can't wait to see them all back in action next Monday here for the Metalhead Truck Series. We will see a bunch of these drivers back in action tomorrow night. We'll see drivers like Matt Hayden, Michael Madden, potentially, Nick Garner and Colton Hardy and some of these other drivers, back in action tomorrow night with our HCK Beagles. You'll see John Herbert there, Brett Summers, potentially Jesse Calloway and Keith Prince, and so many of these other cats in attendance tomorrow night, racing again right here on Peacemaker Gaming. And hopefully we'll see you guys tuning back in and cheering them on for our second race of this week, our second NASCAR Truck Series here on this Monday, Tuesday afternoon. Says thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace and love, ladies and gentlemen. Peace and love, chat. Woo! Man, what a run, what a race, what a show here by all of these drivers. Man, that was a hell of a show here today.
Mellow bass screaming, rubber birds on black. Engines roaring thunder, ain't no turning back. Beast make a friction, sparks light the night. Track of war sounds, adrenaline takes flight. Metalheads moving, the trucks take the lane. Chasing that cloud through the chaos insane. Diesel hearts pumping, it's a high-speed game. Victory lap, gonna carve out the name. Rebels on my 6, but my grip don't waver. Drafting with sharp, every move's got flavor. Brakes don't squeal, they scream in heat. On the asphalt battlefield, where the fierce compete. Rivals on my 6, but my grip don't waver. Drafting with sharp, every move's got flavor. Brakes don't squeal, they scream in heat. On the asphalt battlefield, where the fierce compete. Tires grip tight, flames dance on steel. Spins and skids twist, every moment surreal. Check Checker flag whispers, a siren's call. Only one metalhead lies above it all. Turbocharged fury on straights we fly. Nitrous things pumping, we touch the sky. Back grandstands buzz, saying our name. Each lap we caught ignites the game flame. Metalheads moving, the trucks take the lead. Chasing that cloud through the chaos insane. Diesel hearts pumping, it's a high-speed game. Victory lap, gonna carve out the name. Wah! Mellow bass screaming, rubber burns on black. Engines roaring thunder, ain't no turning back. Beast make a friction, sparks light the night. Track of war zones, adrenaline takes flight. Metalheads moving, the trucks take the lead. Chasing that cloud through the chaos insane. Diesel hearts pumping, it's a high-speed game. Victory lap, gonna carve out the name. Rebels on my six, but my grip don't waver. Drafting with sharp, every move's got flavor. Brakes don't squeal, they scream in heat. On the asphalt battlefield, where the fierce compete. Rebels on my six, but my grit don't waver. Drafting with sharp, every move's got flavor. Brakes don't squeal, they scream in heat. On the asphalt battlefield, where the fierce compete. Tires grip tight, flames dance on steel. Spins and skids twist, every moment surreal. Checker flag whispers, a siren's call. Only one metalhead lies above it all. Turbocharged fury on straights we fly. Nitrous things pumping, we touch the sky. Back grandstands buzz, saying our name. Each lap we caught ignites the game flame. Metalheads moving, the trucks take the lead. Chasing that cloud through the chaos insane.